Right? All right, we are streaming, everybody.
Hi, Internet.
Hey, Ralph, if you want to go ahead and open us up, I am ready to rock and roll.
Let's do it. All right. Welcome everyone to tonight's stream. We are welcoming everyone to cybersecurity, and we have an all-star panel lined up for you. We have Socks, we have Ashley, and me. I am your host, Tech Coach Ralph. And we're going to go through some questions, and to get your questions about cybersecurity, the way that this came about, we receive so many questions on a daily basis about, hey, I'm interested in cybersecurity, but I don't know anything about cybersecurity. How do I get started? So that's why we are here to serve you tonight.
Indeed, indeed. I want to thank everybody for taking the time, and especially Tech Coach Ralph. I'd like to thank you for working with me and getting this whole thing put together in such a way that we'll be able to share some of our experience across all of the internet with everyone else. We have one other person coming in. I had a small technical hiccup, and we should be able to proceed with them jumping in with one additional panelist. But I take full responsibility. It was me, not him.
All right. So while we wait on him to show up, let's get started. So let's start off with some introductions. Let me go first, real quick, because tonight is not about me at all. So I'll just get myself out of the way, and then we will turn it over to our cybersecurity specialist. All right. So I am Tech Coach Ralph. I am a QA engineer, QA architect, and technical coach, as the name says. I've been doing QA for the past 15 years, specializing in automation and strategies and QA infrastructure for the past 12 years. So if you want to know more about that, you can hit me up. YouTube channel is Tech Coach Ralph, and the additional information is going to be in the description of the video, so you can know how to find me. But let's turn it over to the stars of tonight. So let's start off with Socks.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? My name is Nico Sock Smith. We'll talk about my moniker Socks a little bit later on, but I'd like to tell you guys that that's a pretty exciting conversation and something that we'll dive into at some point in time throughout our relationship or getting to know each other. But I'm currently supporting U.S. Cyber Command and other DoD initiatives as a capabilities developer. I have roughly, I guess, 16 years worth of space inside of or experience within cybersecurity, all the way back to before it was called cybersecurity and more IT with horns, so to speak. And that's kind of my government side. As far as my regular everyday, I work on focusing on helping other people get not only involved or introduced into cybersecurity, but uplifting and including as many people as I can who show interest and capability aptitude within the cybersecurity space. So that's about it. That's all I have, and I'll kick it over to Ashley.
Thank you. My name is Ashley Deadass Sequera. I've been in cybersecurity, I think it's like a total of 7 years now. I did not start in any kind of like real IT thing until much later in life. I'm a little bit younger than Socks, so like the path wasn't clear. And if Socks hadn't taken me under his wing all those years ago, I don't even think I'd be sitting here talking to you all right now. But I work for Google. I am a customer engineer on the web fraud and cyber risk side. So I help with bots and automated takeovers and all that cool stuff. Previously worked at Palo Alto Networks. I'm a really fun technical trainer and adjunct professor, and I'm a PhD student. And I don't know why I did that, but I'm a PhD student. So it's great to be here.
Quick question, Ashley. With your experience, you said that you didn't have a clear way ahead. It was something that was was that jumped out with you, or you had some type of special opportunity to get interested and involved inside of cybersecurity. Can you like touch a little bit about that, because you got a really amazing backstory. I love your hero narrative. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah, so I actually like thought I was going to be a lawyer and like save the world or something. I'm a musician. I was in the army freaking band. Like that's a thing you can actually do. So I enlisted. I'm like, yeah, I'll be like this pro musician and I'll go to UC Berkeley and go to law school. Well, 2008 crash happened and I had always been like on the computer, I'm a gamer. I was like using the Game Genie back in like the early 90s, like learning hex and all this crazy stuff, but there wasn't like I graduated from high school, now I'm going to go do this. So I definitely was like all over the place, man. Like I was slinging boxes at UPS. I was folding t-shirts at Old Navy. I worked at freaking GameStop, like everywhere but tech. So fast forward, I was doing like some really basic like help desk level IT, and I ended up making it into my first SOC job, but it was like a contract role. This organization called Vets and Tech was doing this free training with this company called Palo Alto Networks, and I still didn't know nothing. So I was like, okay, I'll go to this free training. This is cool. Thanks for, doing it. And I got hired out of the class and I ended up spending almost 5 years at Palo Alto before being poached by Google. I mean, I remember sleeping on people's couches. I remember like not being able to keep my phone on. Like it was a struggle, but I made it. And so I'm happy to share that story because I think we all can probably relate to when we've just been down and we're trying to make it.
Amazing. Thanks. And again, I wanna take this time to give a very warm welcome and a thank you to Mr. Marcus Bowie. Again, another amazing technologist that I've had the opportunity to cross paths with, to work side by side. I met him actually in my very early years in getting into the DMV, and he showed up. He supported me way back when I was doing CTFs at a very small scale, and now I'm a little bit bigger. But it's not about me. I wanna throw the flowers to Mr. Marcus Bowie, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, and I'm glad to be here.
We were going around the table, kind of giving our 60-second elevator pitch on who we are and what we do, or what's brought us here. Could you give us a little snippet into your background and where you are in these days?
Yes. So things have changed since last time we saw each other. So my name is Marcus Bowie. I'm the founder and COO of MaxProd Technologies. We're a cybersecurity company in the DMV area. We do security operations, digital forensics, pen testing, threat hunting, assessments. We do everything. I want to say that. And right now, I'm a security engineer for Department of Energy. And outside of that, I have the business where I have different work at different places. Um, so that's the space I'm in, and we do workforce development. So that's um, another piece that I have added to our company.
Awesome. Quick question. Because we have a moderator that's keeping us on schedule. Um, I'd like to know, because your story is really interesting. Also, your hero narrative is amazing as well, Mister Marcus. You didn't start off in cybersecurity. Can you talk just briefly on where you come from and how you got there?
Yes. So before I got into cyber and IT, I was doing architecture, and in the DMV area, I worked for a design build company. And when the market crashed in '08, I needed to hurry up and find something to do. And somebody told me about this IT free Microsoft Office specialist class, and I took it and passed it. And they put me on an internship. And years later, I was able to get my foot into a real IT job with that certification on the help desk side. And the guy, I knew the guy who hired me, and he told me at the interview, I know you, but I will fire you. So just come in here and do, handle your business. I said, that's all you need to tell me. And I ended up working my way up the ranks to even eventually becoming a manager, a team lead for that same help desk that I started on. And then I ended up meeting somebody else, which is a total different story. Well, how I got into cyber was through that same help desk. So it was all about relationships and just being at the right place at the right time and having the right stuff that you needed at the right time. So that's how I got in. No degree. I still don't have a degree. I've never even been to college. But I'm here and I'm happy to be in this space.
Well, thanks for taking the time to share your stories. And I'm gonna turn it over to Ralph. I know I've been kind of leading. I'm gonna take a step back because now putting on the panelist hat.
All right. So I will say that it's amazing how many, regardless of the field that you're in tech, how many stories are so similar, right? Because everything that you guys shared, it's like the same story for me with QA, with the market crash and everything like that, right? So let's get into our very first question. All right. So for someone just starting out, what foundational knowledge or skill would you recommend they acquire in cybersecurity?
So I'll take point on this one. And I guess we should kick it around the room. Have input from everyone else. But when I think about foundational knowledge, nothing beats the ability to research and understand the information that you're digesting, and being able to take that and synthesize that into reason, or into things that will assist you with satisfying your end goal. So um, when it comes to things like cybersecurity, I like to tell people, don't get into cybersecurity unless you're prepared to bang your head against the wall
Right.
99% of the time,
Yeah.
and then find out the answer, discover the answer, and not know why. Right? So that level of understanding needs to be there. And that's not to say that's not a defeatist mindset, but that's a mindset that requires a large amount of ingenuity, interest, and ability to persevere. It doesn't matter what, like, if you're the best coder in the world, if you can't take when your code is failing because you missed a semicolon over 1,000 codes of line, and not be able to see the humor in that, it tends to become a very difficult place. And then I'll end with this: um, having the ability to interact with other human beings will take you very far. If you're able to they used to call it soft skills, but if you understand how to interact with other individuals, no matter how intelligent you are, but in a way that allows them to remember you in the mindset as that person who helped me or didn't make me feel stupid. um, those are some of the things that are going to be able to help you get far. So I guess diplomacy. I'll pass it on to the next person.
I'll speak up. So diplomacy is a good way to put it, but like you really got to actually have the. Can you guys hear me? My mic is being weird. Okay, just
Yeah.
making sure. So yeah, you really got to have like the ability to again interact with lots of different types of people, because there's going to be those people that like It does not matter what they do. They get on your nerves, and you still got to put a smile on your face and still be able to work with them and still come together to solve that problem. The other thing that I think a lot of people take for granted is being what's called T-shaped. And I-shaped is I have hardcore technical. T-shaped is I have technical skills and I know how to build and work with other people to then bring all of us together to solve a problem. And you learn that in customer service. You learn that in medicine. So these other career fields that a lot of folks are coming from, you already innately have a lot of those skills. And then obviously there's like the foundational technical knowledge, like make sure you do your A plus, M plus, Sec plus, even if you never use it, just get it done because that is just that core base knowledge that everyone else is working from. And if you don't know what that language is, how are you going to participate?
So I agree with everybody, and I would like to add this on top of what they're saying because they took the answers out of my mouth. But the one that I would say, it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Just look at the job description. And what I would normally tell somebody trying to get in the field, depending on the position that you want, you first need to do an assessment, a self-assessment of what type of job are you looking for and what's going to best fit you. And once you identify that, take 5 of those job posts and look at the common denominators of each one. Some may say know how to read network traffic. Some may say know how to read logs, know how to use different types of systems. And you take that and learn that. That way you're not all over the place, trying to find your way because there's a lot of information out here and you can get lost in it real quick. If you had the job description, you know exactly what you are going for. You know exactly what you're training for. And I recommend that on top of what everybody else that just said.
Wait, so we don't need to know quantum mechanics
No.
and low grade processing?
Listen, if you say math to me, I'm out. Okay.
No. You know what I'm saying? It's right there. It's right there. It tells you what cert you're supposed to get. And they have wish lists, right? You don't got to get every cert. But I just go straight for the skills. Because you can work a deal out with some of these recruiters where they say you got to get the cert in 30 days or something like that, right? But just go for the skills. Go for the skills.
Hey, Ralph. Do we have a chance to kind of talk about the intersection between certification and capability yet, or is that something that we'll address a little bit later on, or something that we should pin and come back to a little bit later?
We can do it now. Why not?
Okay.
Let's do it now.
So, I'm glad that you brought that up, Marcus, because there's a lot of thought process out there, right? And because this is welcome to cybersecurity and helping people understand how to navigate this thing, there's a lot of industry push that says, "Hey, come join my boot camp. Come do these things." And then you get a job, and or we guarantee that you'll get a job. And I'm not here to besmirch any company that's out there, but I will tell you this: that when we talk about that intersection that I was talking about, and thank you, Ashley, about talking about the I-shaped people and the T-shaped people. That's I love that. I've only heard that 2 times in my life, and you're the second time. So thank you. But when we talk about certification, there's a such thing as people who look paper perfect versus being technologically capable. All of that to say is I've been in the field, and I'm sure that you know people who have gone, they taken brain dumps, got their certification, went, interviewed, and didn't get the job, or got the job and were fired like within a month or the first quarter. The A plus, the Net plus, the Sec plus, the CASP, the GSEC, all of those are wonderful certifications, but again, they mean nothing if we don't have the the drive to persevere and to actually learn your task.
Right.
If you get a job, 9 times out of 10, um, they're going to train you for how they do log analysis,
Hmm.
Right.
but that doesn't. You need to have foundational understanding so that you get to understand, or you're able to navigate or negotiate the obstacles that they're going to put in front of you. So certifications, I'm not saying certification bad, I'm saying certification is good, but what makes it relevant is your ability to execute said knowledge that's supposed to be requisite within that body of knowledge, if that makes sense. And I'll kick
Yeah.
it around.
Well, like it's more than that too, right? Because like I have a good amount of certs, but I know people who are more certed than me that if you ask them something in like a common sense setting, they don't even know the first thing to say. Like I got my GSEC, I got my GCIH, but if you ask me about incident response, I can actually speak to it. And there's like again, it really depends. Like every person's different. Like I'm super personable. So honestly, my networking skills and my personality usually get me in the door. And then I get these other certifications to, again, just grow my own knowledge. But I've also been to school. I've also done the help desk thing. Like I've done all of it because you need to kind of pull from everywhere. Like just doing certs. Like I know someone on LinkedIn who's got like 140 different types of cert. I'm not even joking. Like so like CompTIA and SANS and like all these little paper search from all these little training vendors and stuff, but I don't know if they actually know anything. Like to me, that's like super suspicious. Like I'd be like, I don't believe you,
Right.
right? But if you have a reasonable amount and you have the experience to back it up, like that makes a big difference. But when you're trying to get in, you know, sometimes just about getting in the door. So like DoD is a good thing because they've got that whole set of certifications on that 8750.1, I think is what it is. I'm rusty on it, but if you
Yeah.
meet those certs, you are much more likely to get a job. So
Right.
you have to think about what you're approaching and how, like, what is it that they're looking for? What do the people on the team have? And if it's nothing, maybe you got to figure out a way to like make yourself look more valuable to help enhance that team. Like, what value can you bring?
So to pivot from the value question, comment. Let's say Security Plus. Everybody's going after Security Plus. You know who else is going after the Security Plus? The mailman down the street got Security Plus. The lady at the grocery store got Security Plus. So what's going to separate you from those people that got the Security Plus? It's the skills. Everything rises and falls on the skills. The certs are great. Degrees are great. They're the paper that, that's the paperwork you need to get in most places. But when you get to that interview, it all boils down to skills, and skills pay the bills. So if you're not practicing your skills, if you're not practicing the right skills, you're gonna have a short, you're not really gonna make it far in the field if you don't have those right type of skills on hand.
So this is what we're gonna do, right? Because you guys are so good. You actually answered question 2 before we even asked it. I'm just
I'm
gonna
sorry.
show question 2 for a second, just so people can, and I'm gonna read it. But then we're gonna move on to question 3 because if you listen to the last 5 minutes, this is exactly what question 2 is, right? It's what were your initial steps into the security realm, and how did you bridge any gaps in your knowledge or experience, which is exactly what you guys just answered, right? So we're going to transition to question 3 now, right? It says, how do non-traditional backgrounds or experiences enrich the cybersecurity field? And can you share any examples? Let's start off with Marcus on this one.
Okay. Non-traditional background. So define what that is, and I can tell you. What do you mean by non-traditional? Meaning like you didn't come in from you didn't grow up into the IT realm.
Yeah,
Okay.
like so you didn't necessarily it wasn't your major in college
Right,
and
right, right, right.
you weren't
Okay.
made for this.
Right. So what did I learn as an architect? Um, Attention to detail was big. You draw that if you draw this design up, this floor plan up in the wrong specs, and they build it, who gets dinged for that? That's me. Attention to detail, taking the initiative, like what Nico was saying, what Socks was saying, having that problem solving mindset. So if you're stuck on something, are you willing to take the extra steps to figure it out? All of those things help me when I got myself into the IT space. It's because you're going to run into issues and you need to be able to know how to handle them in that order or in that space. But I say non-traditional backgrounds will give you experience that you would not normally have gotten had you went the normal route. Customer service is another one. You know what I'm saying? Those who work in a different like IT help desk, you cyber's not going to teach you customer service. Some of the tools in the IT space you're not really dealing with on the cyber side, like Active Directory, like creating tickets. You know what I'm saying? Those different skills that you're getting, the command line, the basic command line, when you get a user on the phone, basic troubleshooting steps. Though, believe it or not, those same skills are needed in analysis steps when you're on like the blue, like if you're in a SOC. You know what I'm saying? You still gonna have to use a command line in the SOC. You still need to know how to write a ticket in the SOC space. You still need to know how to use Active Directory to lock down accounts on the SOC space. I learned that in the IT help desk space, so I grabbed that over. So there's some things that you can. There's always tangible skills that you have. You just got to spell it out once you get into that space. Once you get into that space, you'll recognize, oh, I need to use this, or I need to use that, or I need to bring this to the table. So everybody has it. It's just you just have to identify what it is in that situation.
All right, what you got on this, Ashley?
Well, I'm a musician by trade. Like I started literally was like hardcore band nerd, everything like that. But playing music teaches pattern recognition. It teaches persistence because when you have to work on something that's super tough and you're trying to get through it and you need to play it perfect and play it right, you practice. I'm on Try Hack Me every day, practicing just like I'm trying to learn an instrument, because there's no way to know everything. But those are two big ones that I could think of off the top of my head. The other one is that when you're in these other weird situations, what has helped me, especially when I'm helping with like cybersecurity problems, is knowing different verticals. So, like, my mom was a nurse and I used to work in like healthcare, like basic IT. I used to work for school districts. So, when I'm talking to customers about SLED or like their problems within like that state local education space, I know what those look like because I remember seeing the annoying high schoolers plugging in a USB thinking they were awesome because they booted up Kali Linux in the library. You know, working in retail theft looks different, than like regular, just like, oh, I'm trying to hack this enterprise. So there's different motivations. And when you deal with things like shrink in a customer service role, or heck, working at GameStop, knowing how to like troubleshoot the little demo Xbox so people could come in and play games, all those are applicable skills that you can then leverage later on.
Right.
And I guess it's on me this time, huh? I'll keep it quick and short. When I think about non-traditional backgrounds, I think about the fact that I owned an art gallery, right? Complete artsy fartsy type of guy right here, everybody. I believe that aspect of or entering into cybersecurity and my understanding of problems was greatly impacted because now I'm looking at it from that more creative position. Um, it allows me to use more of my looser right brain in order to look at some of the things that the other panelists mentioned, such as pattern recognition, but also there's an intuition that comes with cybersecurity that I believe that art and all of those different things within my background have prepped me uniquely to be able to do.
All right, great. So let's move. Oh, so I just want to say first, we do see all the questions coming in the chat, and we will be addressing them at the end of the stream. So shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you for following along. All right, so we are going to jump to question number 4. And that is, can you discuss roles in cybersecurity that don't require a coding background?
Yes.
It sounds like
There's
Ashley is ready to get that one.
Yeah, and
man.
I'll say this right. I've seen this question all over the place. So I think a lot of people are waiting for this answer. So it's not, no pressure, Ashley, no pressure, but it's all on you.
So I just actually left Google's, my last role at Google, moved into a technical role from a non-technical one. I was a program manager. I literally planned like training events and like little parties and stuff for like the customer engineers to go to after they got done doing training. It was a lot of spreadsheets. It was a lot of building relationships. Again, I didn't do anything super technical. I didn't write any code. I just talked to people and said, hey, can you be here at this time, this date? So that's one big one. GRC is another one that I think a lot of folks overlook to get into the door with because it's policy. It's all policy. You're reading documents, you're doing like compliance checks, things like that. Like you definitely don't need coding for that. Selling in cybersecurity, all talking, all gift to gab. Even a sales engineer position, depending on the company you work at, it's more about pitching to the customer versus showing them like the actual technical solution. And now every technology is not built the same, but I barely just figured out how to print like hello world in Python like last week. So like I've made it pretty far, all things considered. But there's a lot of stuff, like even recruiting or doing like kind of like the build up, to like getting into cybersecurity. Some of that isn't that technical. Even some QA positions are just using a tool. You don't have to know how to use code. You're just testing and validating that the tool works the way it needs to. So those are kind of like the few that I could think of off the top of my head. Party planner at Google, y'all. That's a job.
All right. So what do you got on this, Doc?
Definitely UI UX when we're talking about wireframes, things like that. So we'll talk about. I like to think about those the UI UX as the people who uh, put the dresses on mannequins, right? And then when I think about mannequins, I like to think about when we're talking about back to what Ashley was talking about policy, but very specifically, let's talk about people who are authors who wanted to write books. We need those type of people inside the cybersecurity field because those are the people who write amazing white papers. They understand relationships between adverbs and homonym relationships, so to speak. Um, and because they understand those things, they're able to write documentation that we're going to depend on in order to hack a machine, repair a machine, or even modify a machine at every different level. So I'm just thinking what comes to mind when I think about those things are those people who are amazing at documentation. And I'll end there.
Those technical writers, man, they make big bucks just to like get good screenshots and put it in a doc to make it make sense. That's it. I know people that do that at Google and they don't know anything about GCP. They just know how to make documentation.
Mm-hmm. And PowerPoint, they're PowerPoint masters.
Very, very good
And
point.
for submitting contracts. And for submitting contracts for bids and proposals and stuff like that. Yeah, they make some good money.
Awesome. All right, so let's move on to. So that pretty much covered question number 5 because question number 5 was, how would you describe the significance of these non-coding roles and overall cybersecurity landscape? Which I think we addressed that as well. So let's move on to question number 6. All right. For those concerned about the technical demands of cybersecurity, what advice would you give to reassure them about the breadth of opportunities available?
You ain't got to know it all. You don't. You really don't have to know it all. Like, I think all of us sitting on this call have different areas of expertise and specialty, but like, I know if I was like, hey, y'all trying to set up some Palo Alto firewalls, like everyone would probably be like, But if you start talking to me about QA, you start talking to me about those hardcore pen tests, I'm like the one making that awkward face. So know that like you can focus on what interests you. You can. You don't have to filter all of it through. Like I'm really interested in like the people and like processes part because I think that that's where we can do a lot of optimization. But I'm still a very beginning, like basic, just getting started in my own programming and like coding knowledge journey. So I would just say, like, yes, you could stick to your own interests. If it's people, stick to people. If it's the technology, stick to the technology. But know that you can deep dive on one or two things and you don't have to know the sprawl of knowledge because there's too much out there. Like, there's no way to keep up with all of it.
Correct. And also, tech the cyber field is a revolving door. There's people that's already in there that's moving up. They are getting promoted, and if you stick with it long enough, if you stay in the game long enough, the door is going to open up for you eventually. You know, they're going to look. There's going to be a spot for you. You know, at that point, you want to make sure you got your skills up and got your search ready for that opportunity because it'll pain you if that door opens up and you're not ready for it. So just keep that in mind that it's a revolving door. People get in the door all the time. Um, they just was ready for the opportunity that at hand.
And I'll jump on the bandwagon with the both of you. With um, a lot of people say, "Hey, let's be master of every, or let's be a jack of all trades, master of none," and there's a lot of that running rampant. But it's okay to identify your lane and just stay
Mhm.
in your lane. The difference between you and the guy that knows everything is the level of depth that you can go within your particular craft, and that's where your value is going to be found. I know people who again, going back to logs, because that's the bane of existence for a lot of blue teamers,
Right,
right?
right.
Just reading logs. If you just want to focus on reading logs, there is a job for you. I
Yeah,
promise you that you will be, and as long as you make yourself indispensable, that's the
yeah.
next key. Is just make yourself indispensable, and that comes with mastering and having passion for your craft. And I'll land there.
All right. So we are going to jump to question 8 because we'll circle back to question 7 in the Q&A portion because I think that we will be able to share that and give some more context on that towards the end. So number 8, what are some reputable training or certification programs for beginners? How can someone gain practical experience if they are just starting and don't yet have a job in the field?
I just dropped a link to Try Hack Me. I'm just gonna plug it all day because it really still is to this day. Like I'm telling you, I'm in here every day learning something new. They have certification programs now. They've got entire learning paths, and again, it's a way to show that you are hungry to continue to grow your knowledge and have some demonstrable skills. That's like my go-to. Hack the
So
Box is good too.
so I'm not sure, or as a matter of fact, they're doing a reboot, but it's called Run Code Ninja. Run Code Ninja, again, Army vet, also have been a member of the great U.S. Army National Guard. Had the opportunity to meet the guy who created Run Code Ninja, and for a long time, that if you could demonstrate skill set there, you'd be able to go into most coding jobs and then show where you are ranking because of the level and the technical acumen that was required in order to be successful there, as well as your typical. You can pick any bug bounty program from bug bounty to hacker one. I used to be a Snack red team guy, so I think just getting out there and trying things out. And Ashley just dropped a link to an amazing a platform called Security Blue Team, and where I created their first, or I was part of their first CTF, one of the content engineers there. So CTFs and things like that are great ways for you to demonstrate capabilities, as well as your JIAC and your CompTIA certification programs as well. I'll end there.
So can I throw my piece?
Of course.
These are all reputable online trainings that you could take. Some affordable, some you got to pay, some free. But I've come to know that some of the best training you can get is by kicking the tires, installing the tools in your own home lab, and kicking the tires on it. There's going to be some things that you're going to see that may not be available on some of these platforms, like configuring certain logs to get things to work, get the networking to talk. Spin up a VM. Create a Active Directory environment by installing the tools, configuring it, create your users, create your policies. Spin up a SIM, a free SIM, send some logs to it. You'll be able to see a lot more things that are not privy to you on some of these platforms. You may get the skill, but the missing pieces are you're not going to see the missing pieces like that. From my experience, I can't speak for everybody else, but I can speak for me. Yeah, somebody actually posted Security Onion. Spin up Security Onion. Look at some of those logs. Look at and here's another thing with Security Onion. You still have to configure the systems to even send logs. So now you're going in, you're learning all of these different technologies in one deployment. You're learning Linux, you're learning networking at the same time, and you're seeing how this stuff talk and how everything works. So I say also, in addition to this type of training, kick the tires in the home lab. Everybody should have a home lab, some type of computer that they can practice on to keep their skills up and sharp. I often run into people who want to get into the field that don't have a home computer, and I'm like, how are you going to practice? How are you going to get sharp when the new stuff come out? And that's another way you can get it. Keep your eyes, keep your ears to the streets to figure out what's the new tool. Okay, is it on GitHub? Download it, install it, kick the tires on it, read the README file, read the documentation, and see how to set it up, and use that in addition to the online trainers. I think you'll get a way better training experience on that. And somebody asks, how do you get that without the job? Again, I go back to the job description. If they say I need to learn how to use Snort, guess what I'm doing? I'm installing Snort. I'm going to look up YouTube University.
Man.
How do you read Snort logs? How do you write Snort rules? You know what I'm saying? I'm using all of that because it's there, and you also get that experience that nobody can take away from you to put on your resume.
Home lab seconding. I got a whole server with all kinds of stuff on it. Got my ESXi running. Like I got. I mean,
and I got
cloud.
I can shameless plug, but I'm not teaching. I just taught a free class last weekend on how to read PCAPs in a SOC space and what are the top 5 protocols that we have to analyze. And I got a YouTube. I should have posted. Well, you can send it out later, but I posted it on YouTube so people can see what do I do every day at work. I pretty much showed you how to do it, and it was a hands-on training that people joined in on, and we reviewed some PCAPs. But I may be able to post some stuff too. Somebody said SOC has training. Yeah, SOC does have a training environment. He always carry around servers. Everywhere I see him, he got some servers on.
Man.
All right. So that's amazing. And what I'm hearing from this, all right, is that we can't be theorists. We have to become practitioners. The things that we learn, we have to put them into use. So invest time, invest money into what you want to do, and go from there. You can read a book, but until you start putting it into action, you're not going to get anywhere. So, All right, we are going to move on to question number 9. All right. So, how do you see the importance of diversity in the cybersecurity community in both in terms of background and skill set? And just to add, what initiatives or programs do you recommend that promote diversity in the sector?
Ooh, what a loaded question. So I am the only Black woman in an organization of about 200 engineers. And, a lot of the time, especially when you work in corporate, like you're going to be in a room where you're like the only, or like there's barely anyone that looks like you. That alone is what brings a completely unique perspective, because a lot of these people, like, they have the exact same background, so same lived experiences. They usually approach problems the same way. I've been out here doing all kinds of wild nonsense. So when I come in and I'm like, "Hey, like, what about this?" They're like, "Oh, that's a really good idea," because it's a different perspective. And so it's not so much just about racial diversity, but intellectual diversity. Some
Right,
of us went to college, some of us
right,
didn't go to college. Shoot,
right,
some of us might have gone to jail and some of us didn't go to jail. But that intellectual diversity is what makes it so that you all come together to solve all these different problems, like 100%.
right.
So that for me, like, that's the big thing. And then the other thing that I like to do is I just founded a DEF CON group. I live in New Mexico, y'all. Like, there's like 5 of us that do tech here. I'm serious. And I went to conferences, I went all over the country, and I found 18 people that are in this area that we didn't know that all of us were here. And we all have our own different lived experiences. So stuff like that is how you build community, and building community is how we change the industry for the better.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on that. It's not so much as racial, and I am the only one in my team that's a black guy. However, it I don't it doesn't phase me if I'm supposed to be in that seat. If you got skills, if you are in a seat and you're the only one in it, that color, that race, don't look at it like it's a shock or anything. Like, you're supposed to be there. You had something that was valuable or of value to be in that seat. However, what I have saw over the years is that it was from my experience, it was less about racial and it was more about meritocracy.
Mhm.
Do you have the skills to be here? Do you have the initiative? Do you have the drive to learn and grow and be great at your craft? And that made or break who sits in the seat or who comes into the door. So if you're in the mindset that, oh, I'm gonna be the only one, or oh, I'm this, that, and the third, I would say switch your mindset a little bit. You'll be surprised that even though you're the only black person in the room, it really doesn't matter if
Yeah.
if your skills are on point. You know what I'm saying? So I, it, I never ran into it. I never ran into a space where my race mattered. I ran into a space where my skills did.
Mhm.
So keep your skills up. Make sure your skills are on point, and show them why you belong in the room if you feel like you don't belong there.
I mean,
But
that's not to say, like, I haven't straight up had people be like, "I'm not talking to you because 'cause you're black," because, like, that has definitely happened.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, I'm
I
not
am
saying
not
that.
I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
discounting
no,
that at
no,
all.
no. Yeah,
But,
yeah,
yeah, you gotta be there, and you gotta show up, and you gotta do the work, and you gotta show folks that, like, again, just like Marcus is saying, like, you're meant to be there. Like,
right,
that's all that matters at the end of the day.
right,
And I'll keep it short because you all have made some really amazing points. My only thing that I'll add to it, it'll go back to what we were discussing earlier. The diversity in thought that Ashley was talking about is shown and displayed based upon where you're coming from. You become that enabler. You become that combat multiplier to your organization from the diversity in thought from where you come from. For instance, um, just the way that the military runs its cyber protection teams and things like that. Their defenders, their blue team, their red team, their purple teams are quite different than what you'll encounter in the private spaces. However, I think that one of the really amazing things that you'll find from people that are quote unquote go getters are the ability to be flexible, the ability to adapt and overcome within the different environments that they get pushed into. And with that diversity of approach, you're able to also lean into how you can how you can relate and enable your organization to be successful. And I'll land there.
All right, I'll just add a little bit of my 2 cents. Coming from like all the stuff that I've done in QA, my like if anyone here follows my channel, um, my motto is we're engineered to win, and my only goal is to be the best, right? In whatever I go into. So like when I'm working on QA, I listen to what the developers are talking about. I try to add value to that, and it's all about adding value. And the more value you add, the more they want to work with you, and the more they appreciate you. And try to like go outside of your job description to add more value to and that way it's like you become invaluable, and there's nothing else they can say about you. All right, so we are gonna go to our questions, right? Our Q&A portion, right? So we're gonna start off with some people who asked questions like before the stream even started. We're gonna handle those questions, and then we have some questions from the chat that we can address as well. And what we'll do is we'll just have one person, whoever chooses to answer that question, and we'll keep going in the essence of time. And I have some extra time, so if anyone else has extra time, they want to stick around to answer some more questions. I'm here for it. I don't know what everyone's schedule looks like, so that's totally up to you. So let's start off with this one. I guess I should answer this one because it's like related to QA. So the question is, are there things, frameworks, program languages, on the job training that QAs learn, do that are applicable to cybersecurity? So I'm going to give a pretty general answer is I think everything that QA does is applicable to everything, right? And I think that everyone in one way or another, they also practice QA, right? And so like I'll say for program languages, I'll probably Python, because there's probably some packages that you can use to do some cybersecurity stuff. But like I think that cybersecurity is a subset of QA, right? Because you need like penetration testing and all that type of stuff. It's still testing at the end of the day, right? So I would say like probably learn Python, look up some frameworks that search framework. What frameworks are used for cybersecurity for QA for testing, right? And then install those and start playing around with that. Like Marcus was saying earlier, um, start building something, and then you'll go from there. You'll learn more from there.
Quick question, Coach. Isn't regression testing directly related to DevSecOps? When we're talking about the developmental CI/CD pipeline.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like with regression testing, especially, it touches everything, right? So to make sure that developers aren't introducing new bugs, if you have regression testing for like security gaps, security loopholes, if the developer were to make a change, that regression test should catch those as well. So QA encompasses all of it, and like not that I'm in the cybersecurity realm particularly, but from the trainings that I've had for compliance and security, I could easily see things that I could implement for cybersecurity if I was in that realm.
Amazing, amazing. I just remember working side by side with a few developers, and they're like, "Hey, we're doing unit testing," and I'm like, "Okay, well, what's a unit test, and how can I break it?" So I think definitely that QA, just ensuring that we're operating within the boundaries of the specs that's been laid out before us, as well as having stop gaps or abilities to identify issues as we migrate from major versions that we're able to properly protect or inform, right? Each person a sensor within cybersecurity.
All right. So
Learn
we're going.
C.
Oh, go ahead.
Learn C if you want to do like malware, like analysis type stuff. Python if you want to do scripting. SOAR if you're familiar with that term, security operations automated response. Most of them are written in Python, so I would say like those two for sure. That's why I'm actually getting better at Python, because I can build playbooks all day, but I want to do more. So I'm trying to improve my Python as we speak. Go is a good one too. If you want to work at Google, you want to do some malware stuff at Google, pretty sure it's all written in Go.
All right. So I'm going to transition to another question. Well, anyone on the panel can answer this, and then we'll go to another question. Right? How do I leverage my engineering background to get into cybersecurity?
There's a lot of
Troubleshooting,
ways.
troubleshooting steps, handling issues, handling issues that you dealt with on the engineering side. They everything you got to understand. Most of the interview questions you're going to run into are scenario based. So if you relay whatever issue you had, troubleshooting is always going to be a big thing that they need on the cybersecurity side. And it also depends on what type of role you're going for. Are you trying to get into cyber engineering, or are you trying to get into another space in cyber? So I think if we knew what role you wanted to get into, I could better answer that. But if you're just leaving it at this question, I say the troubleshooting steps you did, how you handled an issue, is you can leverage that side all day long
I,
to get into cyber.
I have a little bit to add on to that as well. When we look at engineering, I think about pedagogy. Like that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The ability to take the information and lay it down um, in in a easy to digest but logical sequence. So understanding the way that things are put together, I think the mathematics aspect from engineering, the hard science understanding is where we're really going to get the biggest bang for the buck. So yes, we could talk about cyber, and we can talk about engineering as far as endpoints and networks and things like that. But I'd like to say that that type of brain functions very well inside of the coding environment. They're able to better understand how different functions go into feeding different methods that produces different models that enable success there. Malware development or malware research are other places where you might find that comes very easy to you.
All right. I'm going to go to a question in the chat. So let me put it on the screen. It's, what about using SIEM? The company I work for uses Splunk. How would I gain experience on that on my own?
Oh, you got it. All right, go ahead.
Splunk is free for 60 days. Install it in a Linux VM, spin it up, install the forwarders, the universal forwarders on a Windows or a Linux VM, send some logs to Splunk, turn on YouTube University, buy a Udemy course, or even take the free Splunk Intro to Splunk classes and play around with the command line or the search prompt of Splunk.
Also, don't forget to learn Rex. I have my Splunk
Yes.
I got my Splunk certification, certified for a couple things with Splunk. Along with setting it up inside of your lab, one of the things that you can use is go to malwareanalysis.net. I believe they have a collection of PCAPs that have nefarious activities.
Yeah.
Run it through your ingester and work on building indexes and dashboards.
Yeah.
That's a real quick way for you to get a real quick win.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Let's go to another question from the chat. It says, okay. So let me be more specific. If you could redo what you know now, what would be the fast track way that you would go for starting in this industry, certs, and ways to get the skill practice? I see Sock shaking his head. So let's go to Socks.
No, just stop it. Just stop it. Stop with this. Stop with this fast everything. Like for I'm being honest. Y'all think I'm I swear to God. Stop trying to shortcut. Take your
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Learn the skill. If okay, all right. Here's a fast track. I believe that I fast tracked here, right? I think everyone on the panel, especially listening to their background, have fast tracked to where they are. You're not going to learn what I learned in 18 years and under 18 years. Maybe you'll learn in 15 years, right? I'll give you three years, right? If I had the opportunities, here's how it go. All right. I would get rid of all of my personal relationships. I would flush those down the toilet. I would just focus on coding, and I'm not trying to be, snippy at the mouth or anything like that. I'm just being honest with you. In order to obtain a faster thing, you gotta drop weight, and the quickest place to drop weight is in all of your social interactions. Like don't go and get don't have any drinking experiences, but you got to worry about this thing where you cut out in your social life. Those are going to come back to bite you because when you don't have interpersonal skills, you're going to end up like back in the day when I was early in the in cyber or back in IT, right? Help desk, right? We took people who didn't know how to interact with people and we put them in a server room. And you made some money, but because you weren't good for a customer facing job, you couldn't grow.
Right.
So please
Right.
take your time. Learn things. Uh, Learn at your own pace and don't rush. It's not going to come to you overnight. And it's going to take some hard work and sweat equity. And if you don't understand what sweat
Mm-hmm.
equity is, get used to it because it's going to be a wild ride. And that's all that I have.
I'll just add, it's funny you say that because I think all of us, if we're sitting here, at some point we had an interest in technology. We just didn't know what that was going to manifest into. I've been on the internet like thinking about it. I think I've had an AOL. I had like one of the first like 10,000 AOL accounts literally because my dad just happened to have a computer in the early 90s, but like I didn't actually get into this stuff until recently. So you got to remember like it's going to take time to get to like that role that you're actually striving for, and sometimes you got to take like that crappy sock job on
Right.
graveyard shift to get your foot in the door. Sometimes
Right.
you do got to do the help desk. Sometimes you got to do like I was doing technical training, which I like, but I was doing like sales engineering and all this other weird stuff because I just wanted to get the experience. And I'm finally in a technical role at Google with a general studies degree, you guys, like the most I couldn't pick a major like degree out there. Okay. So once you find what you want, you have to push. You have to push. And like if you have socks, like I'm always pushing, like always like trying to get new certs, always trying to build my knowledge, always trying to get involved in the community. And I just talk to a lot of people and I ask, like, well, what are you doing? And what are you doing? Right? Like you have to get involved and like you don't get
Right.
to be a basement dweller no more. We don't get to hide in the basement and not talk to people and make good money. Like you have to actually build that skill.
Right.
Networking will set you free. I'm telling you.
So I'll
Let
just
me say
add this
something.
real quick. Go ahead, Marcus.
Let me say something about that. Uh, Somebody said how to get to the money quick. What's the fastest way? Um, Something I learned walking in the door is that the money is great. The money is always going to be there. But if that is your only reason to be in the field, if that's your only reason to be in the field, you're not going to last long. Now, why did I say that? Because they may pay you the money you want, but there are things on the job that they couldn't pay you enough to do. Meaning, there's going to be some stuff there that you're going to run into on the cyberspace in the cyber field that you'll be ready to quit the day of because of what it is. They're not going to pay. You got to have more than just a dollar amount on your mind to keep you going in the field. And if you don't believe me, ask some of the people I run into. They getting paid the numbers they want. They getting paid the money they want. But if they get hit with a task that they don't understand and it's real daunting on them, they're ready to quit and leave that money behind the day of. So just make sure, the money is good, but you got to have a little bit something more than just wanting that dollar amount. You got to have some passion or something behind it to keep you staying in there.
So, Marcus, are you saying that some people don't enjoy those 3 o'clock in the morning calls saying like everything is down and we need you to like,
pager
go
duty?
and reboot server, like pager duty alert?
Listen, you're re-triggering me, right? Like, I'm gonna hang up right now if I hear a pager go off, okay?
Right.
Like,
here's 1,500 alerts. I need you to go through each one to see if they're legit or not. And it's the same alert.
Mm-hmm.
There's people willing to quit on the day of.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how much money they have, they're ready to quit because why am I doing this? This is terrible. My brain hurts. I'm ready to quit. So you gotta have a little bit something more than I want $250,000. You gotta have that. You gotta have that energy, that drive, and that hunger, and at least some passion about the field to stay in there. Because you're gonna be hit with something where you're like, man, I don't even think it's worth.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm addicted to the chaos because I love like that 3 o'clock
like
in the morning
low key, I'm like, you can't predict what's coming next. Like,
I just think that you guys have a weird addiction to abuse.
I mean, we don't have time for the therapy session, but like we can talk about that on the next episode. Like,
hey Ralph, I know that we had some time limits that were put into place, and I've really been enjoying our conversation. But do we have any? We have enough time to go over a couple other things and then wrap up.
Let's do this. Let's do one last question, and then we can show the chart, and then we can wrap it up. All right.
Okay.
So let's do this. Let me see. Let's go with this. How does RPA factor into cybersecurity, and is it something that one can leverage skill-wise as an aspiring entry level?
I had to look that up, to be honest with you. I was like, what's RPA? Okay, so looking at it, so I'm assuming if I'm Googling correctly, this is about like robotic process automation. Can someone verify for me in the chat? I'm making sure I'm looking at that right, because I have an idea of where that can fit. So automation, understanding like the meticulous nature of like building out and like automating processes is like huge in cyber because we do a lot of the same crap every day, all the time, over and over again. So understanding the thought process and building those out, like robotics, they thrive on that, right? It's always like that, you're going to do something more than once, you automate it. And that's literally like what robotics is doing. So I could see that coming into play, but I'll let somebody else take it because I definitely was like, what is that?
So I've seen it bumping across the internet as disruptors within the cyber field. The ability for, you got the Tesla cars coming out and all these different things, right? So the weight that's passing down onto the human capital within our industry, we have to wonder, is that going to disrupt the ability for people to to not only get a job or to walk in with the job, but also can we use that as a demonstrative talent to show value to our future employer? And I would argue yes. I would say yes. to the point where like you just put in there when that's the first thing that I thought about, Ashley, is ICS and SCADA, right? How those things are being transitioned. Let's look at the auto IAW at war right now. There's some big things happening there. I think that when we come in as a putting on a solutions architect hat, and taking those skill sets that we learn as we move forward into the IA, ML, or AI, ML space, we'll start to see a lot more requirements for our people who are starting to get hired, having familiarity as we start to integrate these new technologies and how they represent not only within the cyberspace realm, but start to peer into our real lives. So I hope that I didn't just throw out a bunch of mouth pasta. I think that's a technical term too, mouth pasta.
Yeah, it's in the first chapter. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We are going to go to the map. So to the chat, right? We have documented all your questions. We're not going to get time to get to all of them today, but we will be addressing it in a future episode where we're going to get all your questions answered. So don't worry, right? Because you guys have questions and we try to have answers, right? So I'm going to pull up question number 7 from our list because this one is going to. I think this will actually answer a lot of your questions, right? Says, are there specific career maps or pathways you'd recommend for those looking to enter cybersecurity without prior experience? So I am going to. I don't know. Do you want to share your screen, Socks?
What I can do
Mhm.
is I can drop the link in the chat for you to be able to share that. Let me copy that. Boom.
Okay.
And I'll drop it here. Boom. And I dropped you the actual link, or I can share my screen as well.
Yeah. Go ahead and share your screen because I'm gonna have to like log in to GitLab and stuff like that.
Not a problem. All right, so so everybody who has made it this far, I'd like to first of all thank you all for tuning in with us. And this is a great takeaway tool that I took time to put together after hearing this question being asked. And so let me go ahead over to present and share screen. Yes. And we're going to share entire screen. We'll share that screen and bam. Okay. So I know that looks super tiny right now, but this is a welcome to cybersecurity field, and you should probably be able to see my cursor. We'll drop the link in the chat for everybody who's been present to be able to go here. But what I wanted to do is create the ability for people to answer the question themselves, depending upon what place in cybersecurity that they'll find themselves wanting to go into. If you look at the diagram key, and I didn't see one of these when I went onto the internet, so I decided to make one. Here's our key. The green cross tells us that it's free and open source resources. The purple box is certifications that are required for the job. The orange box is the skills covered or offered within that specific function. And then the cybersecurity role or function has been broken down into 6 key places. So we'll come over to the center. And of course, welcome to cybersecurity. This thing is pretty big. We'll say that cybersecurity, based upon my assessment, is broken down into these 6 areas: network security, endpoint application security, incident response and forensics, security awareness training, governance, risk and compliance, and identity and access management. You'll see that those things aren't too different. than stuff that you'll find out in the in IT. As a matter of fact, IT is our distant cousin in cyber. And just to follow one path, the way to use this is you come from the center, you pick one of these 6 places to start off with. And so, for the sake of time, I'm going to go down the no code route, which is GRC, which is governance, risk, and compliance. I could even go into security awareness and training, but we're going to go down this path. So, when I get here, we'll look at, okay, these are the type of jobs that you would find: security policies and procedures, risk assessment and management, and compliance management, as well as what has to do with or how these jobs are leveraged within the organization. And then if you follow the flags or follow the arrows, this blue square represents the certified or the certification that you'll need to pay in order to obtain that certification, and how it's relevant. So if you get these 3 certifications, you could easily apply for any of these 3 roles, and within a reasonable amount of fairness, you'll end up with the job, or at least an interview. But we all don't have money, right? So let's move on to free places where we could go to gain that information, and those are what the green pluses are. So for in this case, we have IT governance blog and ISACA, which is an organization that provides information surrounding GRC. And we've done this across all of the major places, to include places where you can train. So with security awareness and training, you can go to Cyber and get some training. There's a site called Phishing Frenzy that'll help you understand how to implement this within your organization or your future organization, and the certifications that correlate with those particular type of jobs. So this I believe that we have the. I'm going to stop sharing right now, and hold on. Let's stop my screen. And this is a easy takeaway. I've dropped the link in the chat for anybody who's attended this webcast, this panel discussion, to have. While it doesn't encompass everything in cybersecurity, it's the first of its kind that I've seen where someone can say, "Hey, I want to go in this direction. Here's the certifications, and here's some free things that tie into it that will get you started along your way."
Yeah, and I'll just do my little shameless plug here real quick. So like if you follow a lot of these like different training orgs, like I know SANS will sometimes do like diversity scholarships, women, veterans, like they give like those immersion academies, you can get like 3 sets of certifications. The other thing I'll tell you, wait till Black Friday, because I've never seen so many deals on training and tools and all kinds of stuff like I do on like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like I've gotten lifetime access for like $150 to like thousands of dollars worth of training. So pay attention like around Thanksgiving time. When your family's on your nerves, go look for free and like affordable training. So
I think I got like a what's that platform? I got it for like $1.
Humble Bundle?
No, it was like I'm getting the brain freeze, but it's like you can use it for OSINT. I got it for like $1.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about Shodan?
Shodan.
Yeah. They run that like $5 lifetime deal, like
yes,
always on Black Friday. I got like 8 accounts just because
yes.
I'm like, it's too cheap. I have to.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I guess, Coach, is it time for us to wrap up and get people to drop their social medias inside the chat, so in case people want to reach out and contact them, or
Unfortunately, it is time to wrap up. I've had tons and tons of fun with you amazing cybersecurity professionals. I really hope to do it again soon with everyone. So yeah, let's if anyone has any social media, LinkedIn, whatever, YouTube, wherever you're at, that you'd like people to be able to reach out to you, go ahead and share it, and yeah, we can go from there. And we'll also put all the social media links inside of the description of the video as well, so that way you can reach out to these amazing people. All right. So you can find me on YouTube. Mine is Tech Coach Ralph. You can find me there. And I talk about I don't specify on cybersecurity. I talk about software engineering, QA, DevOps, all type of stuff. But we just like to explore softwares and try things out and have fun. Anybody else wants to share their social media?
I threw my LinkedIn in there and I gave you a like and a subscribe, Ralph. So you got a new subscriber out of me, friend. So
Thank you, appreciate it.
I posted my Twitter in there. For some reason, my LinkedIn is not giving me what I want to see. But you can follow me on LinkedIn at Marcus Bowie if you want to. But I have a YouTube channel where I'll be posting some of my blue team training. I've been busy working on the business side with the contracts, but you'll see some stuff from there soon.
Amazing. And hey, Coach, did you drop your link inside the chat?
Working on it now.
Amazing. All right, so again, I want to thank Marcus. I want to thank Ashley for taking time out of your very busy schedule to give back to the community to assist the future of cybersecurity as it's gonna continue growing, developing, and you all are definitely some of those important people that we should know on our way up. And thank you again. And Coach, I'm looking forward to working with you a little bit more and refining the process.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's how software engineering works, right? You make it work, then you make it better. So that's what we're gonna do. All right. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Subscribe to the channels. We're going to be doing this more because, like I said, you guys have questions, and we will try to give you answers. All right. So until next time, friends, thanks for tuning in to the Welcome to Cybersecurity panel, and we will see you next time.